Joining us now, a man who knows a thing or two about putting in a good, hard day's worth of work, Blaine Fowler. Uncle B back in Studio B. Nice to have you with us, Blaine.
It's good to be here.
Up,
I'm ready to go, by the way. I called Coach Rose. Actually, I said, hey, I've seen some flyers around looking for guards. I used to play the point. We have to have somebody that comes in and spells Nick.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to roll. And then Coach said, what happens the first time you sprint from the top of the key to half court? And I go, well, both of my hamstrings will blow off the back of my legs and fall on. I won't just pull them. They'll just blow right off the back of my legs. I said, I can't sprint, but I'm there for you. I will just stand out there and I'll be a spot-up jump shooter. And he said, nah, you know what? Can't use you. He needs somebody that could actually defend and run, and so I'm out.
Also,
Wait, even though I have one more year of basketball.
You have eligibility?
One in basketball. I'm done with my football. I have one basketball year left.
Jordan Chatman transferring. There are only 4 guards on scholarship right now for BYU hoops. This is a dramatic change because it was always guard heavy, right? And now it's like, well, who else are we going to find? How much of a concern is that for you?
It is a big concern. There's some things. As soon as I heard that Jordan was going, a couple of things popped into my head. I was like, uh-oh. What happens when there's foul problems? So if you have foul trouble, what happens if you have a single injury where somebody's going to miss some time? And then it takes away Dave's options. You remember when BYU beat Gonzaga up there the first time, and then when they've played them well, it's because Dave's been able to give them matchup problems. When Gonzaga's saying, hey, we're going to hit you with Sabonis, Karnowski, and Wilcher all on the front line, how are you going to match up with that? And Dave's going, oh, we're not. But how are you going to match up with us? We'll go play zone, small, and then you try to match up when I put 4 guards on the floor and 4 good guards. So it takes away options to create matchup or mismatch problems for the opponent when you basically have 3 guys that you can have in there at a time. You really can't go 4-guard offense unless one of the big younger guys can move out and play the wing and contribute in a good way.
That might be Yoli Childs.
Yeah, it might. Yeah, and I don't know. I was thinking Dastrup just got back. How are his ball handling skills at 6'10"? Can he get out there? Can he get out there and play the win?
What we're talking about, right?
I know. And so it is a concern. I think the biggest thing is it eliminates some options for Dave and that staff to create mismatches. Hopefully they stay healthy, and it also concerns you in practice because if you're playing a team that has 3 good guards and you want to go hard in practice, you need to have 6 guards. I really feel like they need to have 6 good guards on the roster as a minimum, and now they've got 4, and they're going to have to go out and find somebody to come in and play there.
2 open scholarships. It makes sense to me that they'd try and get at least 1 grad transfer, if not 2. Which they haven't done. I don't know that they've ever done, but they haven't done in recent history. Or you get JUCO guys that have kind of been picked over already in June.
Yeah, this is the problem, is it's so late. And so if you know that you've got that void to fill, then you go out and you recruit a JC guy, and you can actually go recruit him. Senior transfers, the problem with that is you don't go recruit those guys, they come recruit you. Mm-hmm. So your recruiting mechanism's not set up to go, hey, let's look who's graduating on time around the country and see if we can go contact them and convince them to come to BYU. That's not how it works. Somebody's graduating, they're not quite liking their situation, or they've wanted to be at BYU, and all of a sudden they're going, hey, you know what, I got a year of eligibility left. I'm going to contact Dave Rose in the BYU program and see if there's room. And if they're a great player, or if they're a good player, or they fit a role, then you go, heck yeah, come on. You typically don't go proactively recruit senior transfers. They come to you, especially not this late. Now, there may be somebody around that now sees this news and goes, oh, do you know what? I would love to go there, and I could actually get some playing time now. And so I'm going to contact Dave Rose right now. Based on this news, I'm going to proactively go contact him. That's how that one's going to have to work. So we're more likely to see a late JC signee, but you're right. They've been picked over, Jarom. That's the problem. It is so late, it's going to be difficult to fill that with a quality JC player. And unless somebody reaches out to them based on the news that they're seeing, thinking they get playing time, and says, hey, I'm graduating on time here in May, or I just graduated on time, can I come? That's unlikely.
Stephen Bayo is the 4th guard. He was originally a preferred walk-on. Now he has been given a scholarship because of the openings. Zach Frampton will come off of his mission, a guy that went to Lone Peak High School and has played with a number of the guys on the BYU basketball team. But that still leaves one open spot. I mean, is it Davin Gwynn played sparing minutes off of the bench late in games last year. Now, does his role have to increase if they can't find somebody else?
Yeah, Gwynn or Frampton are going to have to be able to step out there. And can one of those guys become a Brock Richner? You know,
Yes.
who
Brock
nobody,
Zylstra, Craig Cusick.
yeah,
Walk-ons that
who you
started.
just go, nobody really knows about, but when they get their chance to be in the spotlight, all of a sudden they're, hey, wow, this guy can play. Who knew? So somebody's going to have to be that guy, and my bet is somebody will step up and be that guy. That will play better than any of us expected when they're put into the spotlight and they get minutes in practice, and you just don't know. So many of these guys are so far removed from high school that they could be significantly better than they were in high school. Post-mission, number of years in the program, playing against a high competition. Now you put them in the spotlight, and all of a sudden you go, hey, this guy can produce. This is a guy that can come off the bench and give depth. Is that Gwynn? Maybe it is.
Yeah.
I wonder about BYU's scheme, too, because it is so guard-heavy. But you may look at those backups and go, I'm not sure that they're going to be able to run this to this level. Or, hey, let's emphasize our post play. Like when Jimmer Fredette graduated, Noah Hartsock became a bigger part of the offense. It was still guard-heavy, but Brandon Davies had the most post catches, I think, nationally that year. Maybe it becomes more of an emphasis on the front court.
I think that's going to be the case. We saw the Zags do that last year where it was a front court oriented offense, but when they really got good down the stretch and when they moved into the NCAA tournament, it's when the guard play stepped up and they had more balance. And so the thing that I was looking forward to this year, and I still think we can look forward to it because Bryant and Emery and Hawes are quality. That's as good a three as there are talent-wise anywhere in the country. Now, they're young. Bayo is really, really talented, but, I mean, freshmen typically don't know how to play defense. You know, typically the guys that you go recruit, rarely do you have this great defender that you're bringing in because they're scorers. They have scorers' mindsets. That's why they're in the limelight in high school. And you bring them in, and there's a transition time between when they come in and when they go, oh, this is serious business. This defense thing is serious business, and coach isn't going to put me on the floor if I can't defend.
Yeah, it's not typical to find a guy like Jackson Emery.
Right. That Jackson Emery has a unique skill set that he brought to BYU, and you look back, has there ever been a better on-the-ball defender than Jackson Emery? I mean, he just came with that mentality. Those guys don't come very often.
Exactly.
And so you typically get guys that are scoring 22 to 30 points a game in high school. They're not asked to defend that much on the other end, and they just go down and score. Now they come, and from day one, you got to start drilling defense into these guys. Now, they'll start drilling it, and so remember, Hawes has been on a mission for a couple years, and he's right out of high school. Bayo's right out of high school. We're going to see. I believe they have the skill set to be really good defenders. They got the lateral quickness. They got good length to play on the outside. But it's a mindset thing, and they're going to have to start drilling that into those guys right now if they're going to be affected. And if they can, then this can be a really balanced team and can be really good because the front line now is going to match up with a backcourt, and we didn't have that here last year.
You know what BYU should do? They should talk to Talon Shumway and say, okay, you just come over from football and play basketball. You were a part of that Lone Peak National Championship team. And then Connor Toulson was the other guy on that team, played at Salt Lake Community College, going to UVU. Had he waited just a little bit, you could have had that same Lone Peak team at BYU. Yeah. The whole team. You talk about the Lone Peak 3, the Lone Peak team.
Who knows what they're going to do to fill that last one. But you mentioned, I can't remember if it was you, Jarom, or you, Spencer, that said everybody's going, hey, Duke and Kentucky bring guys in.
There was a guy that tweeted at me yesterday.
Not to diminish how good TJ and Nick can be, because I think they're great. But the guys Duke and Kentucky are bringing in, they're going, well, this is a for sure thing. They're an NBA first-round draft pick. So
they are leaving after 1 year.
If they could come right out of high school, they'd get drafted right now. And so as good as these guys are, that's not what we're saying about these guys. I think that some of these guys are going to be NBA guys that are on this roster. Hey, Mika, Dastrup, these guys can play. And Nick Emery, if he continues to progress, Hawes, I don't. These guys have the skill set to be able to play, but they're not automatic guys coming in. They're not Jabari Parker.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So now collectively, with the talent they have, a bunch of top 100 guys, this can be, and I know that Dave hates this. He just talked about it the other day. The expectations are so high because this is really a great collection of talent. If they can get these guys to play together as a team, this is a team that can go a long way.
We heard him for the first time say, slow the roll.
Well, because they're so young.
He was saying, we're so young, yeah.
So what did I say? I don't know, a few weeks ago we were talking about this. I was like, people that expect these guys to go to the Elite Eight or to the Final Four this year, come on. Especially now with Chatman going. Because Chatman's a guy that could come in and spell at point guard, could handle the ball.
And he was a defender.
He's a distributor. And whenever they had a good perimeter player and they were bleeding defense, they would send Jordan in and say, could you please go shut this guy down? Who's that guy going to be this year?
Big question mark.
Yeah, and so now that, expectations shouldn't be quite as high. But I've always said the next year, this is a top 15 basketball team.
Wow.
This is a top 15 basketball team in 2 years. So let's be patient with these guys, especially with this late change at the guard line. Let's let these young guys develop and learn how to defend. And then let's have big expectations for the next year. Now, having said that, this is a talented enough group. If they can figure it out and defend and stay healthy, there's no reason they can't be a top 25 team this next year.
Yeah, it just might take a couple months.
But people are thinking this is a Final Four team right now.
It takes time to gel. It takes time, especially when you're adding guys super late. They still have to add guys.
Yeah.
You got to give them time to play together. Blaine, great stuff. Always nice to talk to you, man.